The reality is that most MSP cold outreach falls completely flat. It is rare for me to speak with someone experiencing success with cold outreach. Why is that the case? It's not because the timing is wrong or the market is too competitive. Today, we're getting into exactly what MSPs are doing wrong with their outreach, why most MSP offers fail to connect with prospects, and the one critical element that's almost certainly missing from yours right now. Hi, I am Tim Fitzpatrick with Rialto Marketing, where we help companies turn client acquisition from their biggest challenge into their biggest advantage. Thank you so much for taking the time to tune in today. I am super excited to have Jim Punzenberger from ManagedProspectingSystem.com with me. Jim, welcome and thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me, Tim.
Absolutely, man. I'm excited to dig into this, man. Cold outreach in general is something that so many MSPs are doing, but they're having very little success with. So I am excited to have you share your thoughts, your words of wisdom as we dig into this today. But before we do that, I want to ask you a few rapid fire questions to help us get to know you. You ready to jump in with both feet?
I'm ready.
Okay, man. So when you're not working, how do you like to spend your time?
I love to spend my time outdoors. Especially with my dog out in the woods hiking is one of the ways that I love to spend my time, and of course with family and friends also. It's those are the things that are important in my life.
Yeah, cool. What kind of dog?
I have a chocolate Labrador. You can see a sculpture behind me to my other side. I raised my wrong hand here, but right there, that's actually a chocolate Labrador sculpture.
Okay.
So yes, I have a chocolate Labrador.
Very cool. I love it, man. What's your hidden talent?
My hidden talent is blowing a duck call.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah. So it's important when you're duck hunting, but or if you're wanting to get people's attention, and it works really well. I actually blew a duck call at a Robin Robbins event once, and it got everybody's attention. So blowing a duck call is my hidden talent.
Okay. What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
The best piece of advice is if you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can't. It's also a saying by Henry Ford. Really, the best piece of advice, I think, is it's all about your mind and your mindset. So if you think you can, you can. And if you think you can't, you can't. It resonates with myself. So.
Yeah. What's one thing about you that surprises people?
One thing about me that surprises people is that I like to dance, and I'm actually done a little bit of ballroom dancing, and I think that's something that surprises people because
wow, I like to dance. Man, good for you, man. I'm a horrible
dancer. To be a dancer.
I like it. So now, do you prefer ballroom, or are there other forms of dancing that you?
I like ballroom. I also like just dancing to cover band or live music. So nice. Just get your body moving and have fun and groove.
Yeah, cool. I love it. Well, what does success mean to you?
Success means fulfilling your life in a way that you want it fulfilled. So to me, it's about having a business that supports my life and not the other way around. For everybody, their own definition can be whatever you want it to be. But for me, success is having a business that supports my life and allowing me to have the freedom to have the adventures and travel the world and be part of, spend time with family and friends, and also just enjoy life. So that's
where's your happy place?
My happy place is in a marsh at sunrise. That is my happy place.
Okay.
And I can spend it with my dog and be out, duck hunting. So that's a
duck
passion of mine.
Now, do you do
Has
other?
to do with blowing the duck call. So
Yeah, that's right.
these
That's
common
right.
themes in my life.
Is duck hunting your favorite type of hunting, or do you also do other hunting as well?
Yeah, so I'd say duck hunting is my favorite, and there's a lot of commonalities between duck hunting and marketing. We're trying to, you're in duck hunting, you're attracting the ducks, trying to get them to land basically in front of you, and they come to you. And in marketing, you're trying to get prospects to do the same thing. So there's a lot of commonalities and similarities between hunting and marketing.
What qualities do you value in the people you spend time with?
Communication and trust, honesty, humor is something that I value. I like to be lighthearted and laughing, so others that enjoy the same things are it's something that I value in others too.
Cool. So Jim, tell us more about what you're doing at managedprospectingsystem.com.
Yeah, so managedprospectingsystem.com, we help IT service businesses, bulk of our clients are MSPs, and ultimately what we do is we help them find new clients. Really, there is several pillars to our system, but ultimately it starts with helping the MSP to be unique and to be able to articulate their uniqueness, and then define who their ideal prospect is. And then the pillars that stand on that are ultimately content, outreach via LinkedIn, outreach via social outreach via cold email, social media, and the using content as a form of SEO also.
Jim, you're speaking my language, man. Every time we help an MSP build their growth engine, it always starts with strategy. And within strategy, it starts with who your ideal clients are, and then creating that message that's going to attract them and help differentiate you. And so many MSPs struggle with this, and I'm sure you see the same thing.
Yes.
And it's why we often have these conversations where it's like, well, I'm doing all this stuff, but it's not working.
There's a lot of me too.
Yes. Yes.
Like in the industry, you could take, you could probably look at 100 MSP websites and take the logo off any of them, put them on any other ones, and there wouldn't be anything that would they wouldn't be anything unique in that. You could take 100 MSP websites, exchange the logos, exchange the phone numbers, and nothing would be untrue in that. They all say the same things.
So this kind of leads into the first question I was going to ask you, which is, what are MSPs doing wrong with cold outreach?
Yeah, there's multiple things that they're doing wrong. The first one is usually their source of their lists, their data. Most of them are just going out and using some cheap source of data, and basically you go out and buy cheap data, get junk data, and then not using. What they're not doing is using multiple sources of data and aggregating that data together and building their own lists. What they're usually doing is going to Zoom info or the like, and just buying whatever data they have and using it, which is highly inaccurate to begin with. So when you start doing your outreach and you're using bad data, you're going to get bad results.
Yeah. So quality of the list is one of the biggest tactical errors they're making. Well, are there other tactical mistakes that you commonly see as well?
Yes. Other ones is when it comes to cold outreach, a common thing is they don't the email sending mechanisms that they're using are not warmed up and optimized, so they're landing in spam because of that. The other tactical things would be the messaging that is commonly used is usually templated and copied from somebody else, so it's not unique, and it's not true to them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's those are great tactical things. We kind of already touched on the strategic side of it, right? And to
Mhm.
me, if the strategic side of it has not been done, the tactical side is not going to work. You've got
Right,
to know who your ideal clients are, and you have to have messaging that resonates with them that helps differentiate your MSP. Um,
yes.
the other thing that I see often, I'm curious what you think here is in the outreach messages that I see from MSPs, a lot of them are asking for too much upfront. And I always say, like, focus on the next measurable step. Like, you just want to get a response, a sign of life, and then you can start to engage. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, definitely with cold outreach, we need to first get a response. It's so easy to just ignore cold outreach for the prospect. And also, the tendency is to uh, that the in the industry in general is to just go for the jugular, more or less. Like, um, you don't know me. The prospect doesn't even know that the MSP exists, and they're reaching out and asking for them to marry them on the
Yeah.
in the email, or in the DM, or in the whatever, the cold call, or whatever message that they're doing, or whatever media they're using. They go from, uh, if you think about it, comparing it to dating in human life versus business, you wouldn't just walk up to a person, or girl, or a guy, and ask them if they want to marry you.
Yeah.
But that's what a lot of companies are doing in their marketing, in their outreach, in their messages. Uh, it go from, it's not a hi, here we exist. Have you considered these things? It's a hi, I'm the owner of XYZ IT company. Do you want to be our next client? Um, Reply if you need IT help.
Right. Right. Or do you want to? So I really want to understand how you think about this because a lot of what I see is, hey, we're this IT company. This is the problem we solve. Would you like to jump on a call? Um, I'm kind of the opinion that that's taking too many steps forward first, and we just want to get a response. So I lean more towards just asking them a question based on
Mhm.
the context of the email. How do you think about that? Like, and it's totally okay if you disagree with me. Frankly, some people will probably like it. Um, but I'm curious what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, I think that what we have to do is ultimately, um, you have to get to some pain that they're experiencing, to get them to respond.
Yeah.
If they're not experiencing any pain, or you're not asking any questions that are creating pain, they're never going to respond to it.
Yeah.
So, when we're uh, emailing them, or DMing them, or what have you, we need to ask specific questions that would uncover their pain, and that they can reply to, yes or no. I'm experiencing uh, this issue, and I'd like to have, you know, an easy way, a path to resolve this issue that's not going from it's not jumping into asking them to be married right away.
Yeah. Yeah. So at a high level, and this is not perfect, but that initial outreach could be something like, hey, we're working with attorneys like you. In our experience, this is one of the most common problems we see coming up. It's XYZ. Uh, is this a challenge that you've experienced? Something like that, right? You're asking, it's a binary question. It's yes or it's no.
Hmm.
Is that the thought process here?
Yes, and to ultimately uh, to make it simple. And
Yes.
what a lot of uh, MSPs get wrong in this is that they put way too much in the email,
Yeah.
uh, and you have uh, 10 seconds at the most for them to their attention span to
Mhm.
read it and to get them to respond. If you're writing paragraphs and bullet points within those paragraphs, you're never going to it's not going to be effective. Plus, you're just giving more for the spam filters to analyze and
Yeah.
to then uh, send it to the junk folder than the inbox.
Got it. So short, to the point, you got to focus on the problems they have. Ask a yes or no question, right? Because if they have to respond with the paragraph, they're not going to respond.
Yes.
Um, how do you approach cold outreach from a multi-channel approach? Like, is it a combination of calls, email, LinkedIn? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, we utilize LinkedIn and email. It's as our primary channels of outreach. And then also to have content to support that outreach. That's maybe I can talk more about the specific thing of content in the future, but that's another key to the having successful outreach is what naturally people do when you reach out to them is they're gonna
They go
do
look
a
at you,
search on
right?
Google.
Yeah.
So that's one of the key components to having a successful outreach campaign is that it's not just outreach, you have to have content also.
Yeah. So that when they go to check you out, the content supports the outreach.
Yes.
Yeah, got it. I love it, man. Awesome. So let's go to the next step in this, right? I'm doing my outreach. I get somebody that's interested. What's happening with most MSP offers? Like, why are they not? Why do they suck?
Well, most of them aren't actually something that uh, the prospect finds valuable or that they want. Most MSP offers are of some sort of review or audit or something when the uh, the prospect has some specific pain that they're trying to resolve, and the offer is something in general that's not specific to the pain point that the prospect is having.
So, so do you have an example there? It could be hypothetical too. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
This,
so like the most common offer is some sort of like audit or
yeah,
review, network assessment, even like now cybersecurity assessment. These are the most common offers. But the pain point that the prospect is currently experiencing they don't see that being resolved by an audit or a review or they're the pain point that they're currently experiencing is that their ERP keeps crashing. and they want to figure out why that happens. And now the offer is, let's see if you're secure or not. And the ERP crashing doesn't resonate with whether we're secure or not.
Yeah, got it. So whatever the offer is, they need to find a way to tie that offer back to the problem that the prospect responded to.
Yes.
So, like in the case of the ERP example, what could that be? What does an MSP need to think about? Or is it really
Yeah.
just a matter
So
of, hey, you can still do an assessment, but you have to position it differently so that it addresses the problem?
yeah. So basically, what we need to do is uncover what their specific pain points are first, and then have an offer that addresses them. Like the assessment can definitely address why the ERP is crashing all the time as part of your assessment. But just a general network assessment isn't, the prospect is probably not going to correlate a general network assessment to resolving why their ERP is crashing all the time.
Right.
So what we need to do is make that, the address the ERP crashing as one of the bullet points of the assessment. We're going to look at the, I guess every environment's different, but we're going to look at every piece of your environment and determine what's causing the ERP to crash, and give you a plan to resolve it as part of the assessment.
Yeah. So, Jim, if I'm hearing you correctly, it's not that they have the wrong offer, it's that they're not tying the offer back to the specific problems of the prospect.
Yes, that the it's not resonating ultimately.
Yeah.
Like there is a disconnect between the language that the MSP is using in their offer, and
Yeah.
what the perceived problem in the mind of the prospect.
Yeah. Yeah. What are your thoughts on how, and we haven't talked about this before, but so many MSPs are priced around price per seat, or price per workstation. Um, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah,
Do you think there are better ways for MSPs to start to position and differentiate?
yes, I think the when you're pricing it per seat, you're just commoditizing it. I think the ultimately the better way is to uh, have a proposal that's really includes everything that the prospect needs, that's customized to the prospect. You're going through having a discovery process to discover what the actual needs of the prospect are, and to then create a plan or a proposal that meets and matches those, instead of having a menu of confusion. And what I call them is in the prospect eyes, if you put yourself in the chair of the owner of the small business, or the CFO of the small business, and you see this proposal that's 30 pages, and there's
Right.
4 different tiers, and you don't really know what you need or don't need and what the tiers mean. And um,
It's
there's
confusing.
a lot of confusion in the evaluation process versus here, this is what you need. This is what we're going to do for you. This is all the problems we're going to solve. This is how we're going to be better than your current
Yeah.
than your current solution. And this is the investment's going to be every month.
How do you, I can hear MSPs thinking, okay, this makes sense. How do they, or how have you seen MSPs address, obviously, they've got ongoing costs per user, and as they add more users,
Hmm.
those costs increase. If they go down this path that we're talking about here, how do they accommodate and have that flexibility to go back as costs increase? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I think that's all addressed in their agreement with
Yeah.
the uh, with the client, and having um, those terms laid out in the agreement. But those I see, the successful MSPs are then getting the prospect as a client first. They get their agreement, and then negotiate those terms, or provide those terms as part of the agreement after the proposal, after the proposal is approved, versus um, upfront in the proposal itself, because that's things that are going to change in the future,
Mhm.
versus we're proposing, like what I see is successful is MSPs that are coming up with a proposal based on the state of the network, the business needs right now, and then the agreement addresses how things are going to be, as the client grows and they add more users, etc., locations, or whatever it is, that's addressed in the agreement.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, so they're differentiating up front with how they're proposing what they're going to do, but then they're also protecting themselves in their agreement so that the client knows, hey, this proposal is for X amount of users. As you add users, or it could be, maybe it's a window, right? This includes this window of users. When you go over that, here's how the pricing
Right.
shifts.
Yes, you add or change. This is how the agreement is affected.
Yeah, got it. So what do you see? Let's continue down this offer path. What's the one critical element that's probably missing from the MSP's offer that are listening or watching this?
Yeah. So, what is missing probably is something that makes it unique, and also that is then um, addressing specific pain points. Most MSP offers are very general in nature, in that, yes, the offer is of some sort of assessment or review, audit, etc., and they're very broad. Like I was mentioning or talking about earlier, is that there's specific pain in the prospect's mind, and we need the offer to address that specific pain, versus having a general offer that isn't speaking specifically to the ERP
Yeah,
crashing, or whatever the pain that the prospect is experiencing. That isn't addressing that, whenever they call, they don't get a response for 2 days, or whatever it is,
yeah.
from their current vendor.
When so many MSPs are pricing per seat, for example, to me, this is such low hanging fruit to differentiate your MSP from everybody else. How you propose and how you position your offer it's right there for any MSP to take. And if you go down that different path, you are going to immediately be different from the vast majority of MSPs that they're getting proposals from.
Absolutely.
So yeah, this is not rocket science. You don't necessarily have to knock it out of the park. You just need to approach it a little bit differently. Um, And as we've talked about, I think there are ways to overcome, because I can hear MSPs, bringing up objections about what we've just talked about. There are ways to overcome that. And frankly, there are MSPs in the market that are already doing this, what we've talked
Yes.
about.
Yes.
So,
That's not having an all-in price is nothing new. It's been
no,
the concept for 15 years or so in the industry, if not
yeah,
longer.
yeah. It's just one that most have not embraced.
That is the case. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. It's awesome, man. I love it. Jim, this has been great, man. I appreciate you taking the time. Before we wrap things up, any last minute thoughts, words of wisdom you wanna share with us?
Yeah. So ultimately, the other thing that I see MSPs that are having success with, or the biggest challenge with MSP outreach and marketing, is that uh, the prospects are just in a perpetual state of, we're okay, we have IT, our existing solution is fine. They don't want to talk about IT, and so no matter what you uh, any questions you ask, or what you the number of times you reach out, if you're reaching out talking about IT, uh, it's a uphill battle. So um, what we've helped clients with as a way, we call a back door into the prospects, is having something to talk to them about other than IT. And which is something like this, like what we're doing right now, is having a podcast or a YouTube channel, a show that you can invite prospects onto, so they can talk about something other than IT, and you can then start a relationship with them so that they'll start paying attention to you, versus just trying to talk to them about IT, and they really just like talking to a brick wall, because when anything IT comes up, they avoid talking about it, and they don't want to talk about it.
So instead of reaching out cold about IT, you're reaching out cold for something different. Hey, it looks
Yes,
like you'd be a great person to feature on our podcast, the blah 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 podcast. Any
yes.
interest? If so,
Would you like
let's set up
to?
some time to connect.
Yeah. Would you like to come on and promote your business among the
Yeah,
local business community and my local business YouTube channel?
yeah,
Can I promote your business for you?
yeah. So finding some type of backdoor way, outside of a podcast, any other common backdoor opportunities?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that there's well, networking groups are another one. In that there's not very many, what I'd say is common, especially in the industry. Uh, Either most MSPs are using referrals. Referrals are great. That could be considered another a backdoor method, but referrals really are not controllable or predictable.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
what you ultimately need is something that you can control. You can, if you have a podcast, you can control the amount of people that you invite on it and such, to create and to open doors, and go through the back door. The other uh, ways that you might be able to do it too is creating your own business group,
yeah.
association, like local networking. If you're hosting it, you become authority in the local community. The also Or hosting like a newsletter, like a community newsletter or email, would be another way, other than a podcast. So you could have a community, a local business community email newsletter, and promote guests on that, or promote prospects, I should say, on that as part of that, and promote other things that are happening in the local business community. But the most common way that we see, or that we're helping clients with, is through a podcast.
Yeah. The other similar way that I've seen people do it too are like roundtable type discussions. It could be a virtual, it could be an in-person. Like I've seen people do dinners where there's 10 to 12 local business owners, and the MSP is the one that's hosting and emceeing the event, for lack of a better term. But that kind of stuff can work. I love the idea of a backdoor, but just different approach. The one thing I will say, because a lot of cold outreach is all focused on, let me find the 5% of the market or the 3% of the market that is looking to buy right now. The approach you just shared, you're not reaching out and they're raising their hand saying they have a problem. So a lot of the people that you're going to come in contact with may not be in that buying cycle, but you're starting the relationship, and then you can nurture it so that when they are in that 3 to 5%, they're thinking of you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it's a much longer term approach. And it is a different approach than most MSPs are taking, which is why I like it.
Yes. And so that's where also, nurturing them. I mentioned content earlier.
Yes.
You basically think of it as that's the back door to open the relationship. And then we need to nurture that relationship over a long period of time, because we don't know when the prospect is going to be experiencing enough pain that they'd want to make a switch. And but through this, starting the relationship, and then hopefully paying attention to some of your content, your emails, the posts you make on LinkedIn, your blog posts, videos. They see these sporadically over a period of time. You reach back out to them via email or phone call, things like that, to stay in touch with them, and nurture the prospect, so that when they do have the pain, you're top of mind, and you're the company that they're going to call.
Yeah. It's been awesome. Jim, where can people connect and learn more about you?
Yeah, so managedprospectingsystem.com is our website. So you can check us out on there. Also, you can find me on LinkedIn, Jim Punzenberger. I believe I'm the only Jim Punzenberger on LinkedIn.
I was going to say, man, I don't think there's too many Jim Punzenbergers on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So
you can feel free to look me up on LinkedIn, or check out managedprospectingsystem.com. And if you're watching this, I know Tim, he kind of twisted my arm to see if I would do something for the audience here. And so I'm offering, now if you contact me before the end of August, September will be on me, or courtesy of Tim, we'll call it, for twisting my arm. So if you're interested, reach out in the next 2 weeks, and September will be on me.
Yeah, cool. I love it. Jim, I appreciate you doing that. I appreciate you taking the time. This has been a great conversation. Those of you that are watching and listening, appreciate you, and thank you so much for tuning in. If you feel like you're stuck in the marketing maze, you're not sure what's working or what to focus on next, take advantage of our free Marketing Engine Scorecard at marketingenginescorecard.com. In 2 minutes, we'll help you evaluate the 9 areas of what we call the supercharged marketing engine, so you get clear direction on exactly what to fix first. You can also always connect with us over at rialtomarketing.com. And until next time, take care.